I'm here with Julius, who came second at his regional in Scotland. Julius, say hello.
Hey everyone, nice to be here.
So, Julius, you went to a regional, the first regional of the new format, and what were your feelings going into this regional?
So it was a strange event to prepare for because we had Euros just a week before. So before Euros, I was trying to avoid anything new format related, just to focus on Euros meta. So then I had less than a week to actually prepare a brand new deck. So I was considering just sticking with Malice because that's what I was playing in Euros to be safe. But then I had the Yummy Core ordered, and I was like really excited to try it out. So I did some testing. The deck felt great, so I decided to take the specific list to the regional, and it seemed to work out pretty well.
So, this is your deck list. So, let's just go over the main deck first. So obviously, you're playing the very standard 9 names, and then the 3 obedience. What I wanted to ask you about, this is like a big debate now, is a croaky, and how do you feel? Like, what do you feel? How do you feel about it after the first big tournament? Do you think it's there? Do you think it's there? It's not there?
The card is really strange, and I'm not 100% sure if it's cuttable or like you should play it. So I feel like when you're using it as interruption on your opponent's turn when you're going first, so when you tag out, I feel like that is not necessarily the strongest thing. Like, the pop is nice, but usually you do have enough interruptions. I feel like it is quite nice when you hard open it and then you have like a strong combo hand where you don't actually need the other spell. So then that actually helps you to play through Nibiru better. And then going second, it is also not too bad to hard open because you're quite weak to spot removal, especially if you don't have Obedience School. So if you're playing into a board that has spot removal, putting down the field spell helps you play through that. Also, like, threatens the pop. Because you also don't have too many ways to interact with back row, so it's like a great way to bait out some back row. For example, probably the most important matchup is the Vanquish Soul K9 matchup, and the field spell helps you to bait out the Vanquish Soul trap, because otherwise your opponent can really hold it for as long as they want until like you committed way too much. So I find the field spell can be quite useful, but also post side, I feel like going second you would rather have a breaker than the field spell. Another thing that comes up quite a lot actually is I feel like people underestimate how important the recycling is of the field spells, because if you only play one, let's say it doesn't get removed, you can get in some simplified game states where like all your link ones are in the graveyard, and then your opponent isn't really triggering your synchros, or let's say your synchros were negated, so you can't just get your link ones back if you only run one field spell, which I feel like can't come up. So at the moment I feel like I would play 2. I'm also considering just running 2 of the minion field spells rather than a croaky. That way you just remove the weakness of randomly losing to it being banished by SP, DD Crow, or Lollip in the mirror match.
So you think it could stay, but in the future maybe it's dropped?
Yeah, I feel like I mean the issue with the field spell being banished is gonna be fixed when we get the new support, but until then I like the flexibility that the second field spell gives, and I feel like it justifies running a brick, because the deck is quite consistent and you don't have that many dead cards. I feel like it does give you a lot. I also like to, when I hard open minion, for example, like this really helps you like push through boards. because you can place that on and suddenly your opponent has to be careful with removing your monsters. Also, you're threatening a pop, so it's a pretty good card going second, even though you'd rather see a breaker most of the time, I feel like.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about is the 2 surprise. Obviously, this was the first big event. Nobody knew what was standard. Nobody knew what was like very standard for this deck, and you chose to opt for 2 surprise. Were you hesitant? Did you feel like it was a good decision, bad decision going into the tournament? Obviously, it worked out well, but what do you think about the 2 surprise?
The card is really good. So I initially started testing one of the surprises, well, because I was like, it's very searchable, but the card is really strong because it's interruption, and also you use it as an extender on your turn, and the fact that these effects, you can eat one of them on each of the turns. The card is really good. I was also considering running 3, but I thought because it's so searchable, it's quite nice to just hard open one and then search the other, but also you probably don't want a brick, so I just wanted to have enough non-engine and engine. So I decided to go with 2, and I think those ratios were working out for me pretty well.
And then you opted for the 2 engage and not the 3rd engage. Why not the 3rd engage?
In my testing, I just keep opening the engage with drones quite a lot, or double engage. And if you're not playing the Widow Anchor, which I didn't feel like I want to, I think playing 1 or 2 engage is probably best. I was initially testing 1, but I just wanted to increase the consistency, so I ended up playing 2 instead.
I see. So you just wanted to like have like diverse hands and not see them together. Then this card becomes dead.
Exactly. You can see this similar logic with droplets as well. I'm just running 2 of them. The card is really good for the most part. It's just I didn't want to see multiple droplets in hand.
What I'm
because it's a hard one for turn.
What I'm very interested is that you've got 1 thrust, 1 talents, 1 prosperity, 1 call. The prosperity and call by seem very standard, but you've got the 1 thrust in main and the 1 inside. A lot of Yumi players opt to play like 3 in main. I haven't seen, or this is my first time seeing a deck which is playing 1 in the main, 1 in the side. Why this?
So because I'm running a hybrid build with hand traps and breakers, the thrust was actually my 40th card. I was thinking what I wanted to see, and it's really insane going second, because it's essentially for the most part it's a 4th copy of Obedience School, but also talents if you need to, and then going first is just, it's not as impactful. For the most part it's gonna set an imperm or a purge, but also if your opponent's playing on your turn with let's say vanquish soul monsters, or if you ash something, they can use their canine stuff. It's also quite nice to just search talents as well. And then it was primarily for the siding patterns, because post side I'll always want to see thrust both going first and second, because I'll have the relevant targets depending on the matchup.
I see. And I can tell just looking at your side that you've opted to put Droll in the side, which was a meta staple in the main last format, but you decided to put Droll in the side. Why Droll in the side? Mr. Rugi Rigel is still in the format. Why did you choose to put Droll in the side?
So it's still in my deck list, because I do respect the old format decks. They're still there, but I just made a call thinking that the new decks, the Droll is actually pretty bad into, so I thought that maybe I'll play 1 or 2 Ryziel matchups, but those are primarily the decks that Droll is good against, so I just thought that I'd rather have it inside, because it also conflicts with Charmies, because I hate running Charmies and Droll at the same time, especially with Perulia, because feel like those cards conflict too much. Like the Droll Fuvolus is not too bad, but if you're running Perulia, I feel like that's not what you want to draw into.
And then obviously you're respecting Malice with the Lanciers. And then the one-off Dark Ruler, why not another Lightning Storm, like very standard, another Lightning Storm, but you opted for Dark Ruler. Why Dark Ruler?
So Dark Ruler is primarily for the mirror because Dark Ruler answers most of the board. The only thing you need to worry at that point is the Yemi Surprise, which usually you can just play through. So for the most part, it's just for the mirror, but I do side it going second into some other matchups as well. I feel like the back row removal is really good, so I might actually cut it for another Lightning Storm, because specifically into Vanquish K9 matchup, going second, you really need to deal with their set back row, because if they go full combo, they'll have the Vanquish Soul Trap, which is incredibly difficult to out. If the player is good, they will hold it for as long as they can to get the most value out of it, and then they'll also have the K9 quick play to non-targeting pop, which is also really good into Yemi specifically. So what Yemi can struggle into is the non-targeting removal, because Yemi can really dodge any targeted effects quite well. Even the field spell, for example, if you have the Yemi Surprise, you can bounce it back. So for the most part, you really don't care about targeting effects, but if you have non-targeting pops, they can really hurt your deck.
And then you've got the D barrier and a Black Ghost Laugh. Why D barrier over other floodgates, and why the one Black Ghost Laugh?
So to start with the Solemns, so because I'm running 6 Charmies, I had to have at least 6 good cards going first for every single matchup. So Solemns just are for everything, because for the most part it's great into engine, but for the most part I like to have an out to breakers, because Yemi can usually play through 1 breaker, but if they have 2 breakers, usually the board kind of crumbles. So that's why the Judgment comes in handy, because then they would need essentially 3 breakers plus engine to break your board. And then for the Frost targets, D barrier is for Draco Tail. Can be okay into mirror, but primarily the Black Goat is what I would usually set for mirror, and it's also like Ryziel, Luna Light, a bunch of other rogue things, so D barrier is pretty good, but I feel like the Black Goat Laughs was actually overperforming for me this tournament. It won me 2 mirrors going first. Just calling Link 1, especially if they go Obedience, cool. You flip Black Goat Laughs, call Link 1, and the game is over. There's nothing they can summon.
So I wanted to ask. So I know this was your side deck. Which cards did you see the most going second? So out of these, and how impactful were they?
I think because I'm running Frost, like essentially all of these cards are like a free off. So it depending what I need for that specific matchup. But the back row removal was really good, and then Frost is also another copy of Obedience School, which is just I think that's the card that makes Yemi going second actually pretty decent. Because otherwise, if you don't have Obedience School, you're quite weak to spot removal. If your normal summon gets booked, you have like very few ways to actually play through that.
And if let's say if you were going second, would you ever take out any names or any starters? What would you take out going second?
So I usually take one Yemi Lollipo, because it's arguably the worst starter. I feel like Cookie is slightly better just because the reducing the attack or Pop is slightly better. And then depending on the matchup, I also take out a Crokey, depending if I feel like I won't need the Pop. And then I would also actually side out one engage, because I feel like when I put in thrust, it can be anything really in terms of either breaker or engine.
I see. So that's that. And then going in, you'll just put in the six trap card, the 5 trap cards, and the 1 frost.
Yeah, and then sometimes draw. For example, against Vanquisol, I would just put 3 Solemns, Blackout Loves, Thrust, and then 1 Troll. I don't think I've ever actually seen or resolved Troll this whole weekend, so I don't think it was needed.
Life of every Yu-Gi-Oh player, they never see the side cards.
Exactly.
And now for your extra deck, you're playing the very standard 3 synchro names, the 3 link ones, the 1 Kagari, but then you're playing Cross Sheep, which is interesting, 1 Herald, Starham, and Metal Marcher. Tell me why these cards over a card like Samsara, or
So the Cross Sheep was last minute addition. Actually, I was playing 2 Heralds. I think like that's fairly standard. But then I feel like for the most part, if you're summoning a 2nd Herald on your opponent's turn, you're usually winning anyways. So, and I noticed some people asking if anyone has Contact C in our local straight group, and I was like, I really don't want to just randomly lose to that card. So I'd rather have Cross Sheep as an out. It came up once where I got Contact Seed and I just summoned that, and then my monsters gained 700 attack when I synchro summon in the zone, so that's also kind of nice. And then for the bridges to Herald, I played both Marcher and Starham, so I feel like they have different utility. So for your standard combo, you go for Marcher because you don't need a discard. But if you're locked with Obedience School, you can set up Starham on your opponent's turn to go into Herald. And then Starham has some more utility because it's also a light beast, so you can revive it if you've already used it and you have some dead cards to make a Snatchy. And then also you can use Starham to proactively trigger one of your Yemi names. So for example, if you need a pop, what you can do is you can just synchro into the Starham. Starham revives Cookie, and then Cookie can just pop a monster, so that way you don't need your opponent to like play into your synchros for you to respond.
I see. And did you so did they come up in any of in your matches?
Yeah, I feel like if
you mentioned Cross Sheep, but the Metal March and Starham.
Yeah, so I feel like I went through Metal Marcher every time I'm not opening Obedience School, and I'm not interrupted by my opponent to make the full board, and if I'm going through the Obedience School line, then in that case I will go for the Starham instead.
And I know the extra deck is very tight, but what's the one card you feel like maybe has a spot in your deck?
So it's quite hard. Like I don't know. I think the only flex spot is the Cross Sheep. So I'm debating if I should be running the Contact C out. So I guess we'll have to see when the format settles, if the Contact C is popular enough to have like a dedicated monster for that. But I feel like I would probably just cut Cross Sheep for another Herald, just to have that flexibility of second Herald, because sometimes I feel like it does come up when you're going second. Herald has the negate is really strong, but against some decks, for example, like Draco Tail, is actually the floodgate effect that helps you much more. So for the most part, you're gonna just sit on that Herald, and then they'll have to force it eventually. And once they force it, you want to make another one, so then they can still they can't trigger any of their graveyard effects when they fuse.
I see. And I wanted to go over your matchups. And see, and what did you exactly play against on the day? you want to tell me what you played against? What were your matchups?
Yeah, so I had Crystron K9 as my first matchup. Then I played against Vanquish Soul K9. Then I played against Memento K9. I had a couple of Yummies after that. Then another Vanquish Soul K9, so that was my only loss of the day. And then finally, I was playing against a Yummy player on my last round.
Mm. And I know this format was very new. What do you think was the hardest matchup for you? Not just deck-wise, but also experience and skill and testing-wise. What was the hardest matchup?
I think I always find the Vanquish Soul K9 matchup pretty hard because they have a lot of layered interruptions, and I feel like they're pretty, like their setup with the trap is really strong into your board going second. So I feel like if you don't have back row removal or like if you don't stop them, it's quite difficult to break that board. And they do have two non-targeting pops with the K9 quick play and also Caesar, so basically it's really difficult to push for game, and then if you don't push for game, they will have a lot of resources to break your board on the crackback. So that matchup is actually quite difficult. You don't play into the K9s too badly, so that helps a little bit, but it's still, I would still say it's Vanquish Soul favored matchup, especially if they win the die roll. So what I lost to wasn't actually the engine. It was game 3 was anti-spell with me having 5 spells in hand. I had Duster, Dark Ruler, Obedience School, Engage. So this hand was breaking everything. The only thing is not dealing with is the anti-spell.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, unfortunately, I think that opponent, well, he might have played well, but that card has just sacked your hand.
Yeah, it was a good matchup. I feel like I also didn't have the best die roll luck. I think I was I only won 1 out of 7 die rolls the whole day, so it was pretty rough. I felt like I kept losing game 1, and then it was always like an uphill battle to get back into the game.
Which die roll did you win? Do you remember? Which matchup?
I think I won one of the mirrors.
Okay. So we went through your hardest matchup. What was your easiest matchup for this deck and for you?
I think the mirror can be. I think it also depends on the non-engine. I think mirror can be pretty fun. I think in the mirror you usually win if you're going first, unless they are like playing board breaker version, which in that case it can be tricky. So actually I was playing against a board breaker build, and I made them go first, the game where I lost, because I knew they were on breakers, so then if they won't really set up too much, and then I managed to just break their board pretty easily with my breakers. So there was actually quite a few games where my opponent made me go first, or I actually made my opponent going first. So there was a few mental games going on as well.
But you won them. You won the mental games, didn't you?
Yeah.
Julius, I wanted to ask you, since this deck was a very new deck and a lot of people, you were against a lot of new decks, how many times did you misplay and how many times did your opponent misplay? Like, did you misplay a lot? Like, did something come up that never came up in testing? Or did your opponents misplay a lot since they were like trying out a new deck? Did you see a lot of misplays in your regional?
There were a few misplays. I feel like I did quite a few, so I feel like I noticed most of my misplays. In my defense, I was on, I think, 2 or 3 hours sleep that day, so I was pretty tired. So there was a time where I activated. I wanted to use Yummy Surprise and then chain Snatchy, but I accidentally activated Snatchy before I used Yummy Surprise, so I had to basically try to recover from that game and get back into. Another game against Memento, I basically, they took the Mulcharmy challenge, so I had a massive hand into their board, and I had droplets with the trap, monster, and spell, but I actually just blanked out and I forgot to ash their Memento quick play, so they actually got them back into the game, and the game was like really grindy, and it ended up being I couldn't even break their board because they have the Memento Goblin monster that makes their Memento monsters untargetable, and they had the combined creation and defense, so there was like 0 outs I had in my deck to deal with it on that turn, so I had to use the Link 2 to reset droplets, then finish breaking the board on their turn. So I feel like the Memento matchup was actually really interesting, and also me misplaying probably made it more tricky than it was supposed to be, but I feel like the matchup is quite interesting because there's a lot of things going on, like a lot of back and forth there.
I see. So anything you would change going just after the regional? Anything you feel like maybe you would change just to test it out?
So I think if I were to make changes, I would probably just either go try to play full breakers or try to play full hand traps, because at the moment this is like a kind of a hybrid list, which I felt was the right call for that current format, because I don't feel confident enough to take breakers in the format where Malice and Ryziel are still very viable decks, because I feel like those decks are just unbreakable with breakers alone. So I think for this format, I'm quite happy with the deck. I think once we have a ban list, I'm gonna try to build a deck for the meta based on actually what decks we have. That makes sense.
And I know this was a new deck. I wanted to ask why Yumi out of all 3 new decks? Because you were on Malice, you didn't choose Dracatail, and you didn't choose VS K9, which is also a very strong deck. Why this deck?
So first, I kind of like the artwork. So I when I looked at all the decks, I was like, this is actually pretty cool. I was a big fan of Pearly, and it kind of reminded me of that a little bit. And even there's like some gameplay similarities as well. But I feel like I like the idea of just playing a lot on your opponent's turn rather than just doing like your standard big combo and then like making your opponent break the board essentially. I think it has a pretty fun and interactive gameplay that I like, and I think I was just playing online a little bit, and I got to play against the deck, and I was like, they have 2 cards on the field, and then they kept like they had a million interruptions out of it, and I was like, this is pretty cool actually. I want to try that.
I see. And obviously you mentioned prior, you mentioned a new support, Marshmallow. How good do you think that card is for the deck?
So Marshmallow essentially is just fixes majority of deck weaknesses. So the issue with the deck currently is the field spell makes the deck quite fragile. So if your opponent manages to banish it, essentially, I think most of the people saw the video of Lucas Acker just losing to set Ash, which can easily happen when you don't have the field spell, because you have no way of beating over things. But when you have the Marshmallow, you have an easy way to recycle the banished field spell. And also it's another name, so you can potentially cut down on the worst starters, like Lollipo, for example. So it gives more consistency. It addresses deck weaknesses. So the card is really strong, and I feel like that's what Yemi kind of needed.
I see. And would you be sticking with this deck throughout this new season? this new 2025-2026 season?
I haven't decided yet. I feel like I'll definitely be playing deck more casually now. I don't really have any big upcoming events until Bologna, so I think until then I'll probably either be playing this, or I also picked up the K9 engine, so I will be trying out probably Fiendsmith K9 and some other K9 builds to play more casually.
So we'll see you in Bologna, yeah? We'll see you. You're
Yes.
gonna win. Are you gonna win?
Well, I'll try my best.
I think you'll win. You know what? I think with this deck list, I think you could beat anybody.
Yeah, I think my goal is to top a YCS, because the last 3 YCSs have been just bubbling, and I feel like it's time. At least for now, I get a card pack for bubbling, so
That's
it's not
true.
too bad.
That's true. Well, I appreciate you, Julius, coming along. I really liked how insightful were you with the deck, and congratulations on your runner-up regional top.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
And yeah, any last words? Any last words?
No, just wanted to say thank you for all the people that supported me and helped with the testing. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Guys, we'll catch you in a bit. Thank you so much.